Hi and welcome back to my channel. I'm Simon and today I'm back with a video that quite a lot of you have said you would like to see return to this channel, because I did used to do them quite a bit. Well, not way back when, but well, yeah, way back when. That is a 5-star predictions video. However, this is a bit of a themed sort of 5-star predictions video, as I'm going to be chatting to you about a few books that I think will be 5 stars for me, that are also eligible for the Women's Prize for Non-Fiction. Part of that has been inspired by an additional book that I'll talk about shortly, which I'm already reading and is eligible and I think is going to be a 5-star read. Also, I was wanting to do can I predict what will be on the Women's Prize for Non-Fiction longlist this year? I will be doing one for the Women's Prize for Fiction longlist. It's 30th longlist, very exciting. I realised very swiftly it was not my area of expertise, but within the books that I was looking at on my shelf, I was like, goodness me, there are some absolute corkers. So we're going to talk about those. Plus, I have 2 recommendations that I have been given from 2 fabulous women who think that these books could be 5-star reads for me because they were 5-star reads for them, or certainly books that they really, really, really loved. I don't like to put words into other people's mouths, but they've come to me highly recommended. So you're going to get 8 books in total. Before I have a chat with you about those 8 books, I just want to do a quick plug, which is Women's Prize related. And that is that on Tuesday the 28th, I can't work out if this is going to live on Sunday or Monday. It'll depend how busy I am over the weekend, which is looking a little bit long because I'm recording this on Friday. I will be on Tuesday the 28th of January at Storyhouse, both in person at 7:30pm or watch it streamed live at 7:30pm. I'll be talking to Sarah Waters about Fingersmith for the next Women's Prize book club. Very excited for this. Feeling slightly nervous because I'm a big Sarah Waters fan, and I know how many of you out there are huge Sarah Waters fans. And yes, I will be asking the question, what's happening with the next book, Sarah? If you want to find out, you'll have to tune into that, be it bums on seats at Storyhouse or bums on seats at your home watching online. Now, I said that I was currently reading a book that I think is going to be a 5-star read and is eligible for the Women's Prize for Non-Fiction this year, and that is The Scapegoat by Lucy Hughes-Hallett. And this is all about George Villiers, who was one of James I's lovers. And, well, he became infamous. If you don't know the story, I don't want to spoil it for you. I am absolutely riveted by this. It came through a slightly random recommendation, actually, in the fact that I was chatting on Instagram to Alan Carr, and he was asking if he should go and see Nosferatu, and I said yes, and then he said, oh, you should read this. And he's right that I should be reading it because you should all be reading it. I'm finding it utterly fascinating. The way that Lucy Hughes-Hallett writes this book is so informative, but also so welcoming. You don't feel alienated, but also her chapters are quite short and sharp. And so you're getting all this information, but it's got a propulsion to it as well, which I don't often associate with all non-fiction, particularly not historical non-fiction in terms of with historical figures like this. However, I shouldn't be 100% surprised I love it, because Tudor England, which I know this is at the end of, is part of my favourite, well, one of my favourite parts of history, sorry. And so, yeah, I'm absolutely loving this. I'd be thrilled if I saw this on the non-fiction long list. But the 5 that I took off my shelves, the first one doesn't have this cover in the UK. And I have to say, it was this cover that got me into wanting to read this. It's The Observable Universe by Heather McCalden. And this is both a memoir of her, well, a non-fiction piece about her parents, who both sadly died of HIV and AIDS, and also it looks at space. Now, this really appealed to me because of those 2 so different things, and I'm like, well, how are they going to tie together? What's this going to be about? How's this going to work? And the other day when I was sorting out all of these shelves here, I was thinking, what is the sort of non-fiction that I really, really want to go for? And some of it is looking at queer history, so tick to this as well for that. But also stuff that I just wouldn't generally read otherwise, which is some of the hardest stuff to find. So what I would love is if you've read any really unusual but completely and utterly gripping, which I've heard this is, non-fiction books by women. And just actually, if you've got any guesses or recommendations for non-fiction that we might see on the long list coming in a few weeks, I would love that down below. This just sounds so unusual. I'm totally here for it. It says a moving original memoir of a young woman reckoning with her parents' absence, the virus that took them, and what it means to search for meaning in a hyper-connected world. I just think it's going to be really, really great, and yeah, bro. So we have that. Then the lovely folk at the Nero Book Awards sent me their shortlist, and they didn't send me the shortlist, they sent me the category winners, the 4 category winners. So you've got non-fiction, you've got a debut novel, and I think it's young adult or children's books. And the non-fiction pick, or the non-fiction winner, I should say, which all 4, I should say, oh my goodness, how many times should I say, blah, 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 blah. How many times can I say, I should say? But I should say that these 4 books will then compete for the overall Nero Book of the Year. But the non-fiction winner, and one that I think therefore could easily end up on the long list for the Women's Prize too, is this. Wow, it took me a while to get around to that, I'm so sorry. Maurice and Maralyn. Now, I feel like I don't need to say any more than the subtitle, which is A Whale, a Shipwreck, a Love Story. That sounds so brilliant. Like, that sounds like you could not make it up. Like, if that was a novel, someone would go, I don't know about that. But this is indeed based on the true story of Maurice and Maralyn and a whale and a shipwreck. And I am here for this. I think this is going to be really, really, really good. So very, very excited for that one. I was just trying to work out if that tied in with the Savage reading prompt for a book with water, but it's in the title, not on the cover. Anyway, then third of the books that I think is going to be an absolute 5-star belter for me is the first of 2 true crime non-fiction books. And true crime is an icky thing, isn't it? Because I think if it's done really badly, it can just be incredibly voyeuristic, and I don't know how I feel about that. But with these 2 books, and having read some of the author's previous books, or in the case of this one, no, I have read 2. Let's get to it. What are they? Having read these authors before, I think they'll deal with the crimes really sensitively. The first of which is Story of a Murder by Hallie Rubenhold. This is out in March, but I think is still eligible because I'm assuming
the non-fiction submission dates are the same as the fiction, which is from the 1st of April last year to the 31st of March this year.
The 5 by Hallie Rubenhold is absolutely incredible. It's about the 5 women killed by Jack the Ripper, and the way she brings their stories and their true stories to life and to the fore is incredible, because they have just become known as these 5 victims. They were all apparently prostitutes. She debunks that myth. And this is the wives, the mistress, and Dr. Crippen. And I think this is going to be incredibly well done. I know that Hallie Rubenhold will be wanting to take the lens away from the murderer. So that's what I'm guessing from having read the 5. So yeah, I think this is going to be phenomenal. As I do the Peepshow by Kate Summerscale, which is the murders at 10 Rillington Place. Having read a few of Kate Summerscale's books before, in fact, actually, The Haunting of Alma Fielding, I think it's called, was another book that Alan Carr recommended to me. He knows his non-fiction. I really might be really cheeky, although I don't know if I dare, but I really want to ask him if he'll film a little video for me where he recommends me 4 non-fiction books that I should read, because frankly they would all be 5-star predictions, having loved the ones that he's recommended before. Anyway, again, I think this is going to look very much at the victims and their stories rather than the crimes and the criminal behind them. And I think it'll just be brilliant, partly also because, like with Hallie Rubenhold and loving her previous book, I've really, really enjoyed the books that Kate Summerscale has read. And actually, she's got a sort of special place in my heart, really, because her, The Suspicions of Mr. Witcher was the first book I ever asked for a review copy of for my blog when I started blogging way back in 2007, when Savage Reads was kind of, I guess, born. And then I moved on to podcast, now here I am on YouTube. This will also be good for me to read, to check that the reader that I was, who loved her books previously, is still in here somewhere, because I've been saying that this year I really want to be looking at the reader that I am right now and the fact that I feel like my taste has kind of gone off in lots of different directions, and so I'm not quite sure what it is. Anyway, that was a very long-winded way of saying I'm very much excited for this, and I think it'll be a 5-star read. As I do, last but not least, Private Revolutions, Coming of Age in a New China by Yuan Yang. I had the pleasure of meeting Yuan Yang at a publisher's breakfast, and this sounds fascinating. It's about 4 different women in China from all different backgrounds, age groups and classes, and looks at how, as China has changed so significantly, how have their lives changed? Have they been affected in all sorts of ways? And I think this is going to be fascinating. I'm quite ashamed to say this. This is one of the few books by a woman of colour that I have on my shelves that is eligible, and that, frankly, is not on. And so if you have any recommendations of non-fiction by women of colour, whether they're eligible for the Women's Prize 2020, Non-Fiction Prize 2025, or indeed not, I would just really, really love to know, because that I have spotted is a gap in my, well, not literally a gap in my shelves because I have to take it off the shelves, but it's like something that I would like to be reading a lot more of. So please, please, please recommend those to me. But I think this is going to be so fascinating, and just from the way that she talks about it, I think it's going to, oh, I didn't mean to crack that quite so badly, but just from the way that Yuan was talking about this, it just sounded like it was like really beautifully researched. She spent a lot of time getting to know these women and wanting to tell their stories. I think this is going to be fantastic. Now, I have 2 more books, the first of which, as I said, they're both recommendations from women that I am big fans of. The first being my mother, who has actually said if this isn't on the long list, she might riot. So if it's not, it could be an interesting video of that. And I think Mum will be doing an unboxing of the Women's Prize non-fiction long list, and I'll be doing one of the fiction long lists. I don't know if we're going to be able to get together in time, sadly, but I think the plan is that we'll do what we did last year.
Well, I'll read the fiction long list and she'll read the fiction short list, and then we'll do like our order of favourites and winner predictions, and then she'll read the non-fiction long list and I'll read the non-fiction short list, and we'll do the same there. Basically like we did last year.
Anyway, the book that she will riot about if it is not on this year's Women's Prize for Non-Fiction long list is My Good Bright Wolf by Sarah Moss. Now, I'm a big Sarah Moss fan. I have loved every Sarah Moss book that I have read. I haven't got to this one yet, but I did pick it up when it was half price post-Christmas. It's because Mum had been banging on about it all Christmas and how fantastic it was, and how it really made her think, how certain bits really chime with her, because I think they're around the same sort of generation as well, but I'm not that far behind Mum, as you all know. She's a very young mum, and so yes, I think a lot of that will chime with me. And I have heard from my Patreon book clubbers that this is absolutely corking. Quite a few of them have read it and have absolutely loved it, and I listened to them, as I will be listening to you and all of your recommendations that you're going to leave down below. And then last but not least is a recommendation from the lovely Tracy Chevalier, who I adore. And she told me that I need to read Raising Hare by Chloe Dalton. Now, I feel like this has won an award recently. I can't remember which one, but I will try to find out when I edit this video, and I'll have left it down there, hopefully. Tracy said that I would love this because of my sort of Dr. Doolittleness that I do document quite often. Well, you've all seen that cats seem to find this house a bit of a magnet, or certainly have done over the last year, as do foxes. But ever since I was a kid, I've always been a big fan of nature and animals, and try to befriend any animal I meet, apart from horses. They know too much. You look them in the eyes, it's a little bit intense and terrifying. This apparently is about Chloe Dalton basically raising a hare. And yeah, Tracy said that it was absolutely brilliant and I'd really love it. And I do love some nature writing, so I'm really hoping there's quite a bit of nature writing on the Women's Prize for Non-Fiction long list when it gets announced. So we'll see. I think these 2 hopefully will be. If not 5-star, I think they're probably definitely both going to be 4-star. But just from knowing myself as I do have a feeling that these 5 definitely, hopefully, gonna be. Definitely, hopefully, what is he on about? I'm definitely hopeful these will be 5-star reads for me. And if this carries on as it does, no question, it's gonna be a 5-star read for me. Anyway, there we go. Like I said, I will do a Women's Prize for Fiction long list prediction video very, very soon. But please do, in the comments below, let me know of some absolutely corking non-fiction by women that you'd love to see on the long list, but also books that you just love me to read in general. That would be really, 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 really lovely, because I do want to get to more non-fiction this year, because when it's good, like this so far, it's banging. But yeah, that's it for me for now. I will be back with another video sometime soon. I don't know when. It'll be a surprise. Ooh! I hope you're all doing super duper well. Before whenever that surprise, next video comes, if you want some more savage shenanigans, you can find my Blue Sky, my Instagram, my Patreon, and all those things down below. Let's keep the conversation going on in the comments down below, and I will see you in another video very, very soon. Bye!